Bum. Hey, kia ora. Helen Brown's here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Woo! Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast, number 1237. Tonight we're going to talk about DNA testing, what to expect. Oh, I mean, I've just finished the 7-week class, the 7-week course. Got all my stuff in yesterday. Everything was submitted yesterday, so I didn't have to do any study today, anything online today. It was awesome. Although I did give myself a little mild panic attack when I posted a comment and I looked up at the clock and it said 11:28 p.m. And I was like, oh, I was supposed to have it in by 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm at 11:28 Mountain time. Oh my gosh. Did I get my questions in? Did I get the responses? Because you had to not only just post a thread, you had to comment on other people's threads. So did I get all my comments in on time, or did I miss the deadline? And then all of a sudden, this little voice said, "Helen, it's only Sunday. You still got another 20-something hours to go." I'm like, oh, thank goodness for that. So I actually completely finished last night, despite the fact being a very heavy week and wondering if I was ever going to get to the end of this material, but I did it. So it's all done. It's all good. But tonight I thought I would talk about what to expect when you do a DNA test. And this is from my own personal experience. Other people may have different experiences. But basically, oh, hello. But people will have, hey! That is not one of your talk buttons. She just put her paw on my mouse. Oh, you're in a mischievous mood tonight. So I thought I would talk about, from my experience, what it was like to do I've done 3 different DNA tests. It is my mouse. It is not your button. Gosh. If you could see her face down here, it is... I am so sorry. You, young lady, are going to have to... Yes, this is mine. I'm going to move that over there. But I thought it'd be good to talk about what a DNA test. Excuse me. Get down. I am so sorry. There you go. I took a toy away from her. So I thought I'd share my experiences having DNA tests. Now I've done 3. In 2017, I did my first DNA test, which was 23andMe. One of the reasons I chose this is because at the time, in fact, I did it in July of 2017. So Brad was in hospital at the time during his 87-day stay. And I did the 23andMe, and that was, pretty good. You get the test kit, you open it up, you read all the instructions, and basically you just got to work up some, and it tells you to do it. I think it was like, I'm going back. In the instructions, it tells you when to do the test based on how long you last had something to eat or drink. And I think it's like 60 minutes. But you basically get some saliva up in your mouth, you spit into this little tube, you then put this other stuff in there, and you seal it all up, and you put it back in its little... They've got a little bag that you put it into, which is a waterproof bag. And then you put it into... They provide everything. Everything is in that kit. So when you get your kit, just open it up, take everything out, read the instructions. I read the instructions like several times, and then I also like play acting. Like they said, get the vial, you get this ready. This is the... Hang on, there's something better here for that. Get the little test tube thing ready. And then you need this little vial here, and then you need to collect spit, and you've got to fill it up. You actually have to fill it up to a line. So you've got to work up some saliva. But if you use the tip of your tongue and just rub around in that area down below on the inside of your mouth there, you will actually help produce some saliva out of there. And then you spit it in there, and you spit in there until it gets to a certain line. And then you've got to put the stuff in there, put the cap on. And so I'm like play acting out all the bits and pieces I have to do, so I know all the steps. And then I went back and I started at step 1 and went through the steps and got everything all back in, sealed up. The next day, dropped it in the mail. And you keep the package, because the package has on there your test number. And that is your code that you are known by in the system. So when they get the thing in there, there's a barcode on the test tube, which has your number on it. So you are known by a number. So the samples are all numbered. The only way they link that to you is when you create your profile online. But if I remember correctly, they don't even have access to that. But then it tells you to go and create a profile online, and you actually use the test number as your login, or when you activate your test number. So you can actually follow it and see when they receive the sample, they're testing the sample, here are the results. And for most of them, they take about 4 to 6 weeks for the results to come through. So when I got them, I was curious. I went and had a look in there, and I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. And it confirmed the English, it confirmed the Scottish, it confirmed the Irish. Although, oh no, that was the other one that did that. And some other bits, some other little pieces, and it had a little bit of Scandinavian in there. And there's rumors on my dad's side of the family that we descend from Vikings. So I thought, okay, the Scandinavian stuff's in there, so it could be true. And then I remembered my history, and that Scotland was actually colonized by the Vikings. Well, colonized is not the right word. More like taken over, I would guess. In the way years ago. So I got that test, and it was pretty cool. I was able to see all the stuff in it. Now, the 23andMe is at the time, I'm not sure about now, but I'd have to go and check. But 23andMe at the time was the only DNA test out there that was actually FDA approved to be able to talk about pre-existing predisposed conditions, anything in the medical thing. But on their website, when you're looking at the medical reports and stuff, if you do the bit that's got the medical, you don't have to do an extra test for it. If you want to do an add-on later on, you can do that, and they will test your DNA for that. But they were, so you can go in there and you can see, do I have the markers for heart disease, or do I have the markers for this? And they are very cautious about warning you, and with the disclosures and everything, saying that they do not replace your doctors. If you are concerned about any of these results, go see your doctor. And there's actually little tutorials that you have to go through before you access any of the health DNA exam. So if you want to do the heart disease, you've got a little tutorial that you have to go through before, because they tell you what to expect in the results. And then they have also the disclaimer there that they are not doctors. They do not replace your doctor. If you have any concerns, please take these results to your doctor and let them work through it, all that sort of stuff. So they're very, very cautious about that, which I absolutely love. One thing you do have to be cautious of with with any of the DNA testing out there is expect unexpected results. There could be surprises in there that you may not even know about. There could be things that happened in the family a few years ago where you think your line goes this way and it actually goes this way because of something that happened in this area here. So be prepared for unexpected things to show up, with unexpected connections and things as well. So that was the first one. I got the 23andMe done, and it was actually pretty interesting to go through and read some of the information and things. I still don't know a lot about DNA, even though I've just spent a week doing a 2-week class on DNA. But I'm already enrolled in another DNA class to be able to go. It's another basic class, so I can take the information I've learned in the last week, and this other class will help me reinforce what I learned this week. So I'm excited to do that one, and it's a self-paced one. It's no time crunch on it, thank goodness, because last week was heavy. So that's 23andMe. Then and that was June of 2017. In May of 2018, I did Ancestry DNA. Now with 23andMe, they do your AT-DNA, autosomal DNA. So this DNA is comprised of 22 chromosomes that you get from your mom and 22 chromosomes you get from your dad. There's a 23rd chromosome, and in women, it is always an X, and in men, it is either a Y or an X. So the men have the deciding factor on whether you're going to have a boy or a girl. And so that's the 23rd chromosome. So you get 23 chromosomes from each parent, which gives you your AT-DNA or autosomal DNA. And this is where you can broadly go out. You can find cousins. You can find you may be able to match up with cousins. It's the one that gives you your ethnicity estimates, and these are estimates. They are not facts. You've got to prove everything with genealogy. So you're not just replacing genetic genealogy as, oh, this is how we're related. Da, 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 da. No, the DNA shows that you are related to other people. Genealogy, the regular one where we go and we look up births, deaths, marriages, deeds, titles, probates, wills, blah, 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 blah. That shows you how you are related. So this shows you're related. The DNA shows you're related. The regular genealogy shows you how you're related. And the genetic one is a tool that you can use to confirm some of the connections that you have. Because if you turn around and say, oh, well, I'm connected to this person over here. Are you, okay, let's go prove that. And so it basically can help prove what you've done on the paper with that, if the other person has also done their DNA too. Now, here is the thing with siblings. With the autosomal, now autosomal, you get it from both parents. There's all this recombination thingy that goes in there, which is DNA gets switched around and all that sort of stuff. And so you get different pieces of the DNA from the parents. If you have a sibling who also does a DNA test, you will have a high match to show that you are siblings. But, and this is the cool, this is because it just blows my mind. You will not have the exact same DNA because you get different pieces from your parents. And then there's the recombination which goes through, which is where strands of DNA switch out pieces with each other, which gives you unique things. So you will have some areas that overlap, but there'll be some areas that will overlap to show that you are connected. But then there will be things like you can have cousins that take the DNA test. And the cousins may show up on the siblings' DNA test, but not on yours, and vice versa. It may show up that you're related to one of the cousins, but not the other one, even though they are siblings. But your sibling may see the sibling, but not the other one that you've seen. So, or they may see this group of cousins over here, and you can't see them on your DNA, but you can see this group of cousins over here. But not only does it do that with people, it also does it with the ethnicity as well. So in some of them, it may show that you are higher in your Scottish ancestry and lower in your Irish ancestry. Your sibling may not show any Irish at all. It depends on what DNA gets passed to you from your parents. So you will have areas of overlap, but you'll also have areas where you show stuff that your sibling does not show. That does not mean you are not related. It's just fascinating. It's just, I mean, this week has like been, so yes, so with the 23andMe, it's the autosomal DNA, and otherwise known as ATDNA, and that's the same, and that's your ethnicity estimator and your broad fishing net, if you want to call it that. You cast out the net to see what cousins and other relatives you can pull in. It helps prove links between family members and stuff. And then you have Ancestry. They do the same testing. They have their own algorithms for testing. But again, it's the same autosomal DNA test. They're also testing your autosomal DNA. And you throw out the fishing net and see what you pull in. So theirs is ethnicity based as well. They have an ethnicity estimator. And they have DNA matches. And the DNA matches are measured on a centimorgan, which is I don't remember. To be honest, I do not. It's one of the measuring things that you can have in there. And based on how many centimorgans is, the higher the centimorgans, the closer the relationship you have with that person. So there is that too. So that was in May of 2018. And the reason I did the two tests is I wanted to see how much different are they for their results. And the tests came back and there wasn't too much of a difference at the time. Now with all the technology that's changes, we've got the difference is, I was just actually checking it earlier and I was like, oh, these guys have updated all their information, because they will go in and update their information as they get more samples coming in. They've got a bigger gene pool they can pull things from. Technology advances, so they're updating technology as well. They may change algorithms. I don't know what they're doing back there, but they're updating their systems and the technology and everything else, so they're able to pull out more accurate results and everything else. So every now and again, they will go and update their database. So you might have been 70%. On my very first one with Ancestry, I was 70% English and 25% Scottish Irish. They had them together as a thing. Now, when I go in on my ancestry DNA, I am 61% English, 15% Irish, and 12% Scottish. So they've actually broken those two out. So if you add the Irish and Scottish together, it's 27%. But, I've got 61% that's England and northwestern Europe. But now I've also got Sweden and Denmark in there. I've got Wales in there. I've got German in there. And I've got, what's the other one? Oh, it's gone off the screen. Basque in there. And on my 23andMe one, I have British and Irish at 88.6%. They have not broken it down to Scottish or anything like that. They have included Scott in with the British and Irish stuff as well. Actually, I think this one said I had no Scottish in me, which was kind of weird. They've definitely got Scandinavian in there, and they've got a broadly Northwestern European in there as well. So that was kind of interesting. Then last year I heard about family tree DNA. Now, Ancestry and 23andMe do not use their databases. The law enforcement cannot use their databases unless they have a subpoena. They are very strict about giving access to the law enforcement things. Family tree DNA is a little different. I believe, and I'm going to have to verify this, but I believe they also have, I'm not sure if they have the same laws in place or if the law enforcement can come in and use them. I know they used to. I'm not sure if they still do. But, if you help identify a missing person or something like that, then I'll help capture somebody who's done something bad. Why not? But anyway, so then last year I heard about family tree DNA, so I went in and did that test to see how does it compare to the other two. Now, this one came back with me being 72% English, Wales, and Scottish, 14% Irish, 8% Scandinavian, and I also had the Iberian Peninsula and the Italian Peninsula. I mean, I was like, well, there's something new. Like I said, and these are not set in concrete. They are estimates. The way that you can prove them a little better is the way that you can help support these results is by putting your family tree together. So those were my experience, and all of them except for the family tree. So the 23andMe and Ancestry is spit into a test tube thing, and you put the little stuff in there, and you seal it all up. You put it in the little bag. You put the waterproof bag inside there's a little absorbent pad that goes in the bag as well. So if anything comes out of the test tube, it gets absorbed into this little pad that's inside the plastic bag. So you seal all of that up, you put it into their return envelope thing, you send it off. 4 to 6 weeks later, you've got results. And they do continually change over time, as like I said, as they update the technology, they get more, their sample pool grows and that sort of thing as well. Family tree DNA was actually a swab. So I actually had to get the thing out and swab the inside, and it tells you got to turn it for like 20 seconds on one side, then you go the other side and you got to turn it for 20 seconds on the other side. And then you stick it in this tube and do all your little bits and pieces. You send it away. 4 to 6 weeks later, you've got the results. But here's a different one. The family tree DNA also tests your mitochondrial DNA. And what is important, and they also do the Y chromosome DNA. What is important about these two DNA strands is that the Y chromosome is only passed from father to son. It cannot be passed on to daughters. It is only passed father to son. Daughters cannot pass it on because they don't have any Y chromosomes. And because it can only be passed from father to son, the Y chromosome doesn't get to mix with other Y chromosomes. So it basically can stay the same for generations. And there'll be just little slight changes on the ends, but those slight changes do not affect the ethnicity of it. They do not affect the paternal line. They do not affect any of this. But you can use the Y DNA to trace back to your haplogroup on your paternal side, and you can see all the males that you're connected through on the paternal side. The mitochondrial DNA is a very interesting little thing because it is. It is actually a circle. And unlike the other DNA, which resides in the nucleus of the cell, this actually lives on the outside of the cell, in the cell walls, and it is your energy. And the mitochondrial DNA is really cool because it is only passed from mother to child. It doesn't matter if you're a boy or girl, You get mitochondrial DNA from your mother. Men cannot pass it on, but women can. And men get theirs from their mother. So you can actually use the mitochondrial DNA to trace back your maternal line to find the haplogroup for your maternal DNA. And I watched a video the other day, and they described the haplogroup as being like a zip code. Everybody traces back to this particular zip code or this zip code over here. So you can actually trace it back to find your maternal line, your direct connects with the maternal line. The mitochondrial DNA is also powerful enough that they can actually test, the military uses it to help identify military personnel remains, because they can extract it, because the mother passes it to everybody. And they can actually help. And I thought that is such a great use of that, to be able to identify remains so people can get closure, and our service personnel can get the honors that they deserve and that sort of thing as well. But they've also used the mitochondrial DNA testing on the Russian Tsar and his family that were killed back during the Russian Revolution. And they were able to say that, yes, the Tsar was there, his wife was there, their 5 children were there. So that was very interesting to read all of that, especially with the story of Anastasia that's been going around for years. They found the remains, they actually ID'd the bodies and everything else using the mitochondrial DNA testing. So it's a very powerful little DNA thing. And family tree DNA is the only one right now that tests for the mitochondrial and the Y chromosome and the Y DNA as well. So that's the other reason I did that one too. I can't test for Y because, being female, I never have a Y. So in order to test my paternal line, I have to ask my brother or my father if they would do this particular test, so we can test their Y DNA and trace the male line back. So it has to be a close male relative that you need to ask, like a father, a brother, maybe an uncle, who can take the test. And especially if the uncle is your father's brother. Uncles who are siblings of the male line. And that's how a female can trace back her paternal line. On the sons, they can be tested on their maternal line because they get their mitochondrial from their mum. Anyway, I rabbited on long enough for that. I'm off to watch, what are we watching tonight, Zephy? Jingle All the Way. We're watching Jingle All the Way tonight as we are restarting our Christmas movie fest, and we're kicking it off tonight with Jingle All the Way. So I'm out of here. I've talked for long enough. I'm going to go have some dinner, sit down, put my feet up, and watch Jingle All the Way. So if you have any questions about the DNA thing, I am not a specialist on it right now. I am still learning, but I am learning more. This past week has been like, with what I have learned this past week. I now know more about DNA than I ever knew before I started this week, especially the genetic DNA and how it works and the information we can get from the different types of DNA tests. So if you would like more information about that, there is a link in the description directly below us that will take you to, I don't remember which link it's in there. Hang on, one moment, please. The link down there is to get your free copy of 100 family interview questions. And once you've got the questions, it will then take you to a calendar where you can schedule time for us to have a chat. So have a super fantastic, sparkling evening. I'm off to watch Jingle All the Way, have dinner and watch Jingle All the Way. Hey, Connor, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hey, Connor.